I actually started occasionally making a suggestion, and they never, it never went anywhere. Kind of pissed.
Ron Howard is one of Hollywood's most respected directors. From his early days as a child actor on The Andy Griffith Show to his legendary directing career with films like Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, and The Da Vinci Code, he has built a reputation as a calm, kind, and professional filmmaker. In an industry filled with egos and drama, Howard's gentle nature has always stood out. But even the calmest people can face challenges, and even the nicest directors can have difficult moments with certain stars. Hollywood sets are high-pressure places, and when creative visions clash, tempers can rise. Over the years, there have been stories of Ron Howard struggling with a few well-known actors. While Howard rarely speaks publicly about conflicts, insiders and crew members have shared tales that show how difficult it can be to manage big personalities. This article explores 6 such collaborations that tested even Ron Howard's famous patience stories. Tom Sizemore WF tension, clashing egos, and lessons learned on the road to cinematic greatness. As known for his intense performances, but he was also famous for his unpredictable behavior on set. When Howard worked with Sizemore, the actor's strong emotions created a storm. Sizemore was brilliant but often out of control. He had a reputation for arguing with directors, showing up late, and demanding changes to scenes. Howard, being a patient and calm director, tried to handle the situation quietly. But it was not easy. Crew members recall moments when Howard's usually calm tone turned firm. He wanted discipline and focus, but Sizemore thrived on chaos. The clash was not about personal hatred, it was about creative control. Sizemore wanted intensity and improvisation, Howard wanted structure and teamwork. Their styles simply didn't match. In the end, Howard learned that not every talented actor fits well within his system. Sizemore's passion was undeniable, but his unpredictability tested the entire crew. Howard later reflected that sometimes the hardest part of directing is not about framing a shot, it's about managing people. For many fans, it's surprising to hear that Ron Howard ever had issues with Andy Griffith, his beloved TV father from The Andy Griffith Show. As a child, Howard admired Griffith deeply. But years later, when they reunited for a special project, things felt different. Griffith, who had been the mentor and authority figure during Ron's youth, struggled to see the grown-up Howard as a director. Old habits resurfaced. Griffith reportedly offered constant advice on how to direct, and sometimes dismissed Ron's instructions. It wasn't out of malice, it came from years of being the senior figure. However, it frustrated Howard, who was trying to prove his own authority on set. People who witnessed the interaction said Howard handled it gracefully, never raising his voice, but his patience was tested. The relationship remained warm, but this experience taught Howard that working with mentors can be emotionally complex. It's hard when someone who once guided you doesn't recognize your growth. Still, Howard expressed nothing but respect for Griffith, calling him a giant influence and a lifelong friend. Their bond remained, even after a few tense creative moments. Ron Howard and Mel Gibson worked together on Ransom in 1996, a movie that demanded emotional intensity and raw energy. Gibson delivered a powerful performance, but behind the scenes, their collaboration wasn't always smooth. Gibson, known for his fiery personality, brought intensity to everything, both on and off camera. Howard, on the other hand, preferred calm discussions and quiet decision-making. The two men respected each other, but their working styles clashed. Gibson liked to push boundaries, sometimes ignoring Howard's direction to follow his own instincts. Howard, while patient, had to constantly keep control of the set without letting the tension show. Despite the friction, Ransom became a success, and both men praised each other publicly. Still, insiders said that Howard found the process exhausting. He admired Gibson's talent but struggled with the unpredictable energy. The experience reminded Howard that great performances can come with great challenges. He later said that directing isn't just about telling actors what to do, it's about finding balance between creative chaos and discipline. When two perfectionists work together, sparks are bound to fly. During the filming of A Beautiful Mind, Ron Howard and Russell Crowe reportedly had moments of tension. Crowe is known for fully immersing himself in his roles, sometimes taking that intensity beyond the screen. He demanded perfection in every take, often challenging direction or asking for reshoots. Howard admired Crowe's dedication, but his constant questioning of scenes could slow down production. The tension wasn't about ego, it was about passion. Both men wanted the film to be perfect, and sometimes their visions didn't align. Crew members described a few heated exchanges where Howard had to assert control, reminding everyone that directing requires making final decisions. Despite these challenges, the partnership produced one of Howard's greatest films. A Beautiful Mind won multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The movie's success proved that creative tension, when managed with respect, can produce magic. Howard later praised Crowe's performance, saying it was worth every stressful day on set. It was a reminder that behind every masterpiece, there are moments of chaos that push art forward. Working with Marlon Brando was never easy for any director. By the time Howard collaborated with him, Brando was already a Hollywood legend known for his unpredictability and refusal to follow scripts. On their project, Brando often ignored directions and delivered lines however he pleased. Howard, known for his preparation and structured shooting style, found this incredibly difficult. He respected Brando's genius but struggled to keep the production on schedule. Sometimes Brando wouldn't show up on time or would argue about the script. Howard tried to adapt, giving Brando freedom while maintaining some control, but that balance was hard to achieve. Crew members said Howard handled the situation with remarkable patience, never losing his temper. However, he later admitted it was one of the most stressful experiences of his career. In the end, Howard learned that working with legends comes with trade-offs. You get brilliance, but you must also accept unpredictability. Brando did things his own way, and though the results were impressive, Howard likely swore never to. On How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Ron Howard faced one of his toughest directing experiences. Jim Carrey, who played the Grinch, was brilliant but extremely demanding. The role required heavy makeup that took hours to apply, and Carrey often became frustrated and restless. His mood swings sometimes disrupted filming, and he reportedly needed a CIA torture expert to help him cope with the process. Howard tried to keep the atmosphere positive, often joking with Carrey and giving him creative freedom. However, behind the smiles, the stress was real. Howard had to balance Carrey's wild energy with the needs of the crew, ensuring that production didn't spiral out of control. Despite the difficulties, Carrey delivered an unforgettable performance, and the film became a holiday classic. Howard later said he respected Carrey's commitment. The actor gave everything to the role, even at the cost of his comfort. This experience taught Howard that directing comedy can be just as emotionally draining as drama. It's not just about laughter, it's about endurance, understanding, and managing human emotion under pressure. Through all these experiences, one thing remains clear: Ron Howard is not just a great filmmaker, he's a master of emotional intelligence. His calm leadership has helped him survive decades in a business known for conflict. Every difficult collaboration taught him something. With Tom Sizemore, he learned about controlling chaos. With Andy Griffith, he faced the challenge of independence from mentors. With Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe, he balanced intensity with professionalism. With Marlon Brando, he learned patience with unpredictable legends. And with Jim Carrey, he discovered how humor and stress can coexist on set. These lessons shaped him into a wiser, more understanding director. Howard once said that movies are made by people, not machines, and people come with emotions, flaws, and egos. His ability to guide them with calm respect is what sets him apart. In the end, even though Ron Howard has faced clashes with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, he has never let bitterness define him. Instead, he turned each challenge into growth, proving that true professionalism means staying steady, no matter how loud the storm becomes. One of the biggest reasons Ron Howard has remained successful for decades is his ability to listen. In Hollywood, many directors are loud and controlling, but Howard is different. He believes that listening to his actors and crew creates a better movie. His sets are usually peaceful, organized, and filled with mutual respect. However, when he faced stars like Tom Sizemore, Russell Crowe, or Jim Carrey, that calm environment was tested. Instead of responding with anger, Howard often paused, took a deep breath, and tried to understand what the other person needed. He once said in an interview, "If people are shouting, I don't have to join them. Silence can be louder." This approach made him one of the most respected directors in the industry. Even actors who once clashed with him later admitted they admired his patience. To Howard, every disagreement is not a battle, it's a puzzle. He wants to find what's missing and fix it without breaking relationships. That skill has kept him working with top talent year after year. Behind the scenes of every movie lies enormous pressure, millions of dollars at stake, tight schedules, and countless creative opinions. For Ron Howard, handling this stress with calmness has been both his greatest strength and biggest challenge. When working with difficult actors, he often found himself torn between keeping peace and maintaining authority. On one side, he had to protect his crew and the production timeline, on the other, he didn't want to crush an actor's creative spark. The balance is delicate. During the filming of Ransom, when Mel Gibson's fiery personality took over the set, Howard had to step in without making Gibson feel attacked. Similarly, when Jim Carrey's frustration boiled over under the heavy makeup of The Grinch, Howard chose empathy instead of discipline. He gave Carrey room to breathe and reset. These choices often save the projects from chaos. What most people don't see is that being a director means being part psychologist, part leader, and part artist. Howard learned that real strength doesn't always mean control, sometimes it means compassion. In Hollywood, emotional intelligence is as important as technical skill. Cameras, lighting, and scripts are vital, but understanding human emotion is what truly creates great films. Ron Howard has mastered this. When he feels tension on set, he doesn't ignore it, he studies it. He tries to understand why someone is upset or defensive. Maybe the actor feels misunderstood. Maybe they're exhausted. Maybe they're just scared of failure. Howard knows that anger often hides fear. His calm approach helps people trust him again. On A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe's perfectionism could have caused daily explosions, but Howard turned that intensity into art. He listened, guided gently, and helped Crowe channel all that energy into his character. That's why their collaboration created one of the most emotional performances in film history. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean avoiding conflict, it means guiding it towards something meaningful. Howard's empathy has made him not just a director, but a teacher and mentor to everyone around him. People often imagine that directing is glamorous, but it can be incredibly lonely. Everyone looks to the director for answers, even when he doesn't have them. Ron Howard has admitted that some days on set feel like walking a tightrope, one wrong word, and everything can fall apart. When working with legends like Marlon Brando, Howard had to hold his ground without disrespecting the icon. Brando was unpredictable, but Howard couldn't let frustration show. After all, hundreds of people depended on him to stay calm. That's the invisible pressure of leadership. He had to absorb everyone's stress, the producer's worries, the actor's emotions, the crew's exhaustion, and still make creative decisions. Most people never see that part of filmmaking. They only see the finished movie, not the emotional weight behind it. But Howard's quiet resilience is what made him great. His calm was not weakness, it was strength disguised as patience. That ability to stay centered when everything feels